Thunder and Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and the Houston Rockets, these gentlemen are on the path to this championship glory that you were able to attain?
Yeah, sure. I think the focus is there. You know, it's amazing. You know, if you look at Harden, you know, last year, he put up amazing numbers. Didn't make the All-NBA first team. Didn't make the All-NBA second team or third team, right? Russell Westbrook, one game away from the NBA Finals, and then everything kind of blows up. And so you look at their summer, and they just went in the trenches and said, you know what, we're going to lock down. We're going to focus 100% on what our craft is. And they went into their muse cage. They started dark musing, and they come back extremely focused, and here they are.
And a unique level of leadership, because these great players, when you look at their roster, there's not a current or former all-star that either one of these guys actually play with.
Right.
So not only their productivity, but their ability to galvanize the rest of their teammates.
Yeah, well, it's the energy that they play with, right? It's contagious. You know, when they're out there playing with, every play is a sense of urgency. Every play means something. That's contagious, and the rest of the guys feed off of that, and they pick up on that energy.
I feel like you, I mean, again, I didn't call it a muse cage when we're watching you for 20 years, but I feel like you got to your place mentally early in your career. Or when would you say that you got there and really embraced it?
About 2009 for me, and understanding what that means. And it's hard because, you know, you can see guys in the layup line when they're warming up. Are they ready or are they not? Are they distracted by what's going on around them? Are they, are their eyes kind of wavering, or are they completely locked into what's in front of them? And in about 2009 for me in the playoffs against the Denver Nuggets, actually, is when I understood that difference.
But that, I mean, that was 13 years, 14 years into your career.
Yeah. It's a process, right, of constant curiosity. You're being curious and you're constantly looking at things. And like Russell has his routines. He has these things that he does before each and every game. But if you look at him, if you look at his expression, he's locked in. There's no playing around. There's no games. I mean, this is the most important game to him at this moment. And when you look at players, you can tell.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was on the wrong side of the muse cage a couple of times in your career, whether it was the 2000 finals, in particular January 22nd, 2006. And the fascinating thing about being an opponent when you torched us for 81 points is this. Please, youngsters, when you watch this footage, he never thumped his chest. He never pointed at the heavens. He never made it about me. Right. That level of concentration and discipline is what you're trying to portray in this amazing piece.
Well, yeah, well, what happens is when you're in a zone, when you're in a muse cage, right, it's easy to slip out of. Right, so if I knock down a shot, if I acknowledge that shot that I knocked down, then I'm out of the moment because I'm acknowledging the moment, and therefore you lose your groove. If you just simply, the shot's knocked down, what am I doing at this moment? I'm getting back on defense. That's where your focus is.
Fortunately for all of us basketball fans, Harden and Westbrook don't really seem to believe in rest. So for the first time in a couple of weeks here on ABC, we're excited to see everybody out there. So as we all watch this game today with two of the best players on the planet, Kobe, with what we just saw from your piece, what should we be looking for to see whether or not they are in that place? Well,
I mean, we have to look at the top screen and roll action in particular, because that's what they're both going to be running. I mean, their games are pretty similar. One's freakishly athletic, and the other one plays at pace. But they essentially run the same things. Now, Houston spreads the floor a little bit more, so they have more shooters around them. But you'll look for how each and every team, how they both handle the top screen roll action. And then you look at the intensity. You know, Harden's coming. Right, he's going to be on his teammates. He's going to be attacking the Thunder players. And the same thing with Russell. I mean, as soon as that ball goes up, they're in. They're gone.
You're a student of the game. How fascinating is it for you to watch Russell Westbrook be the first player since the Big O to potentially average a triple-double, and James Harden putting up the kind of numbers that only Tiny Archibald has put up, basically almost leading the league in points and assists? How amazing has that been for you to watch?
Well, it's amazing, but it's amazing to watch their growth and how they got there, right? You know, Russell's always played with that chip on his shoulder, very emotional. But now he's transitioned from that emotionality to being tactical and strategic about where he's positioning guys and how to pick teams apart. And James did the opposite, right? James was always very strategic of how he found players, and now you see him playing with that emotion, playing with that chip. And so it's fascinating to see their growth as young athletes.
What's your opinion on Houston's chances, legitimately, Kobe, to get out of the West with as far as they've come?
Yeah, I think there's another progression to be made, where right now they play the game in ones and twos. Right, where Harden comes off and he finds a player, right, 1-2, finds a lob, 1-2. When you go into the playoffs, you got to play 1-2-3, because teams are going to be sitting, they're going to be locking in, they can close in and recover the shooters. So they got to start finding a big that can then make a play to someone else. And same thing with Oklahoma. And if they can do that, then they give themselves a good chance.
Who's the MVP of the NBA this year?
You know, it's tough, man. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's hard to really come up with a rational decision of who should be MVP. So it's tough. We might see our first co-MVPs this year.
Oh, would you be okay with that?
As a player, I wouldn't be, but sitting here, I mean, what's fair is fair.
Kobe, thank you. Awesome. Mike Breen and the crew coming up after the break live from Houston. Thank you.
Channel your muse. It's inside of you.